Good afternoon and welcome to CVM Live, the noon edition on CVM Television, online at cvmtv.com. And remember, you can download our CVM TV Smart app from the Google Play Store. I'm Whitney Levy. We begin with breaking news. 2 children are confirmed dead after fire gutted the Walker's Place of Safety on Lyndhurst Crescent in Kingston last night.
Somewhere about 3 o'clock or sometime just before, we got a call of fire at this premises, and we responded from the fire station. I wouldn't have all the details that is necessary to tell you exactly what happened, but we have carried out firefighting exercise here, and we have cooled down the fire. As a matter of fact, practically extinguished the fire.
McLean says the fire caused extensive damage to the building.
Based on the age of the construction or type of construction, it will have to be demolished before it can be used, the area can be used again. Extensive damage, and most of the components in the building were wood.
The cause of the fire is yet to be determined. Former Sports Minister Natalie Nita is to face the court on February 1 to answer to the charge of common assault. Nita was bailed in her own surety in the sum of $30,000 and is scheduled to appear before the Kingston and St Andrew Parish Court. In a release yesterday by her attorney, it says an incident occurred in circumstances where Ms. Nita was attacked on premises belonging to the petroleum company concerning an employment issue. The release detailed further that Mr. Buchanan menacingly and threateningly advanced upon her in a violent rage. It's alleged that he referred to her using the B word as well as a dirty politician. The attorneys say in the face of that violent and threatening attack, Ms. Nita was constrained to defend herself as allowed by law. The Minister of Health, Dr. Christopher Tufton, and the Japanese ambassador to Jamaica recently signed off on a grant donation to the Spanish Town Hospital, which will see the healthcare facility get a new ultrasound machine. CVM Live's Joel Koskill has the details.
The government of Japan has once again intervened on behalf of Jamaica's healthcare system, this time with the signing of a grant between the Embassy of Japan and the Spanish Town Hospital for the procurement of an ultrasound machine.
I welcome this auspicious opportunity on behalf of the government of Japan to sign this very important agreement with the Spanish Town Hospital, which envisages the cooperation by my government to provide funding and the amount of 9.4 million Jamaican dollars regarding the project for the improvement of medical equipment for Spanish Town Hospital.
Minister of Health Dr. Christopher Tufton was on hand to welcome the signing ceremony.
On behalf of the government of Jamaica, I'd like to express again thanks for the support and contribution that you have made in the past and you are making today to the health sector. 2 months ago, which is why I said you have been busy since you have been here, the St. Anne's Bay Regional Hospital received support for the purchase of an ultrasound machine, and clearly you were instrumental in that. Again today we're happy to be here to accept another valuable contribution from your government under your grassroots human security project.
It's not the first time the grassroots human security project has played a role in the improvement of healthcare on the island, as was noted by the minister. Joel Croskill, CVM Live.
National Water Commission President Mark Barnett says customers must take the necessary steps to pay for water services as they aim to maintain their efficiency. He says water theft has become one of the greatest challenges faced by the Commission.
We rely heavily on just the attitude and the honesty of the communities to which we serve. But too often, people just believe water should be stolen. And it is not just a problem for NWC, it seems to be a problem that transcends right across the utility space. But predominantly, NWC is most affected because guess what? PVC pipe and water, nobody will be killed, nobody will be shocked. So it's an easy target.
It adds that social intervention is required for Jamaicans to recognize that utility services must be paid for.
We have to always encourage our customers, those who are legitimate, and the consumers who we consider as the illegitimate ones, to really get legal and pay something. You may not be able to afford the full cost, but we have strategies and means and ways to help you to manage how much you consume. But it is something that I believe is a challenge for us because, as I indicated, we have this great propensity to resort to illegality. And in case of water, it's just to steal.
Minister of Transport and Mining Mike Henry has invited the insight of industry stakeholders ahead of Parliament's review of the Road Traffic Act. CVM's Joel Croskill has the details.
Following a three-day cabinet retreat, the cabinet has given approval for Transport Minister Mike Henry to review the 2007 National Transport Policy. This was revealed at the second annual Capacity Building Development meeting of the Transport Operators Development Sustainable Service TODS in Portmore on Sunday.
We are now beginning the revision of the new transport policy to replace, which will be 2018, to replace the 207. I'm sure you all should know what the transport policy is. It creates a lot of the problems we have here. I'm committed to having the Road Traffic Act passed by the end of January.
Among the plans on which the Transport Minister has placed emphasis is the merger of the Island Traffic Authority and the Transport Authority into one regulatory body. He believes this will erase any blurred lines between the responsibilities of both organizations and lead to a more efficient and sustainable service.
Therefore, it's important, because you also would have heard that under the new arrangements in terms of the restructuring of governance and government, right, that we have to merge the Island Traffic Authority and the Transport Authority into one land authority. Therefore, there'll be no hiding behind is this Island Traffic Authority or Transport Authorities. It'll be merged. Just as I have to look at how we also organize the costs for travel and how that impacts across the country.
Minister Henry spoke to the expected benefits of the proposed Portmore Transportation Hub to the commuting public and transport operators. He emphasized that a transportation centre should cater to all modes of public transportation as well as the needs of its users. He also stated that he expects full support from transport operators. Joel Croskill, CVM Live.
Attorney at law Peter Champagny, who represented one of the 4 men who were held in Portland almost 5 years ago for possession of 18 illegal guns and a large quantity of ammunition, says the lawyers who are complaining about his client's 5-year sentence are hypocrites. Yesterday, Justice Bertram Morrison sentenced 3 of the 4, Kirk Smith, Basil Walters and Richard Mitchell, to 5 years in prison for each gun and 4 years for the rounds after they opted to stand trial and were convicted in September. Justice Morrison reportedly also instructed that the sentences be served simultaneously and was said to have taken into consideration the fact that the men have been in custody since their arrest in 2013. But reports are some attorneys say the sentence was ridiculous and pales in comparison with the 18-year sentence imposed on the 4th man, Denver Bernard, by Justice Leighton Pusey in 2016, even after he pleaded guilty to his involvement in the arm bust.
To say that the sentence is ridiculous is to speak from a position of ignorance. The fact of the matter is that in any sentencing exercise, a judge has to take into account a number of factors, mitigating factors that are unique to the person before them. And this was applied. The judge took into account a number of things, including the fact that the social inquiry report was excellent, no previous convictions, and the fact that the person had spent approximately 5 years in custody, and also that in terms of the actual facts of the case, his role in the whole enterprise was minimal.
On the international scene, a California couple have been arrested after police found their 13 children allegedly held captive at home, some shackled to their beds with chains and padlocks. David Allen Turpin, 57, and Louise Anna Turpin, 49, were held on charges of torture and child endangerment. The BBC has more in this report.
They look like a big, happy family. The children a little pale, perhaps, but smiling. Photographs on Facebook show the Turpins visiting Disneyland and in Las Vegas as their apparently proud parents renewed their wedding vows. Now, David and Louise Turpin are under arrest, charged with torture and child endangerment. Their children in hospital.
In the time we live in, it's unfortunate to see this. It's actually heartbreaking for the staff, and it's unbelievable what you see.
The horror on Muir Woods Road was uncovered early on Sunday morning when a 17-year-old girl escaped with a mobile phone and called the police. At the home, officers found 12 siblings and were shocked to discover that 7 were adults, the eldest 29. The captives were dirty and malnourished, say police, shackled to their beds with chains and padlocks in dark and foul-smelling surroundings. As reporters arrived in the quiet suburb east of Los Angeles, neighbors said they were stunned.
The kids were not sociable at all. They were didn't want to look at people, and they were just doing what they're doing and no eye contact with society.
You would never see anyone visit. You would never see anyone come outside. All you would really see is that they'd go out, maybe make a grocery run, and that was about it.
As you see, I have a daughter, and it's very horrifying, that could happen in this community.
Well, there's no hint at all here of the grim conditions inside this home. And the questions about what happened are mounting. Not least, how long were the siblings held captive and why? James Cook, BBC News.
Bangladesh and Myanmar have agreed a time frame for repatriating hundreds of thousands of Rohingya who fled crackdowns from the military. Myanmar has agreed to accept 1,500 Rohingya each week, adding that it aims to return all of them to Myanmar within 2 years. Again, we turn to the BBC.
I think what we have to highlight is that all the most important details are missing, and those are preparing the ground for a viable repatriation. It's not just that this is supposed to be a voluntary repatriation, and all the refugees, of course, have said they want reassurances about their safety if they go back, given the horrific experiences they had when they were subjected to a military operation, and all sorts of terrible abuses have been reported by them. But there are many other things that would need to happen. At the moment, Rakhine State, where they fled from, is still sealed off from any kind of international supervision. The UN agencies have very limited access there. The Myanmar authorities are not ready to allow any kind of independent investigation into what's happened, or to sort of prepare some kind of supervisory group that might actually be able to reassure the refugees. Until that happens, it's unlikely that many Rohingyas would want to go back. And the UN has made the point today that they have to be properly informed about other aspects. Are their homes being rebuilt? You've got more than 350 villages burnt down. There's so much that hasn't been decided about how you get an orderly repatriation.
With that, we take a break on CVM Live, the noon edition. Do stay with us.